Thank you again for tuning in, all of you who are watching this. This is Sunday, April the 5th, 2020 at Riverside Baptist Church. And of course, it's just me and my wife who are recording this, but for those of you who are listening, we have been studying the book of Nehemiah the last few Sundays in Sunday school, and so we've gotten up to chapter 3. And chapter 3 is when the gates are going to be repaired, and we're going to see how the Lord led them to do that. I just want to make a couple of comments, and then I'm actually going to let you listen to it being read by one of our recordings here. It has a whole lot of Hebrew names, and he's studied and a lot better pronouncing them than I am. So I thought I would let you listen to him read the chapter. You can follow along in your Bibles, and then I'll make some more comments at the end. But before he starts reading, I wanted to remind you again that if we wanted to sum up the book of Nehemiah in 10 words or less, we could say that the returning Jewish exiles rebuild the broken walls of Jerusalem. And remember that this book of Nehemiah would actually be placed after the book of Ezra. But the book of Esther would actually come in between the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, if you did it chronologically. And so in the book of Ezra, we saw the spiritual renewal begins after the Jews returned from exile. And here we are some 70 years later almost, and the returning Jews, word has gotten to Nehemiah, the cupbearer to the king of Persia, and that the walls were still broken down, the gates had still been burned. And he mourns and he seeks God's will through prayer and fasting. And that's one of the themes we see throughout the book. And I don't want you to forget that. And that's that in every situation Nehemiah would stop. He would seek God's guidance. He would pray. In many instances he fasted as well as prayed, and he would seek God's will. One of the things that is being suggested by our Mississippi Baptist Convention Board is that all of us who want to do it would stop and pray for 12 minutes a day at 12 p.m. And I'm assuming they mean, of course, 12 o'clock noon, not midnight. So at 12 o'clock noon, in the middle of the day, those who can have been asked to stop and pray for 12 minutes for God's blessing, God's protection during this crisis, this pandemic. And so I would encourage all Christians that are listening out there, if you can do it. And if you cannot pray for 12 minutes, then that's okay. Pray for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But set a time aside every day for prayer. The idea of doing it at the same time every day is so that the Bible teaches us there's power in agreement in prayer, where 2 or 3 of you agree as touching anything, it shall be done. Also, where 2 or 3 of you are gathered in my name, I'll be there in the midst of you. So there is power in numbers when it comes to prayer. So I would encourage everyone who can to stop, if you remember, at 12 o'clock and pray for God's leadership and guidance and blessings and protection during this crisis. So we are going to look at chapter 3, but once again, before we do, I want to remind you that Nehemiah is a fascinating book. And one of the unusual things about the book is when we get to chapter 13, which will be several weeks from now, we're going to see that Nehemiah, under God's leadership, being indignant and angry over some of the fellow Jews in a marriage with pagans, he cursed them, smote certain of them, and plucked off their hair. Now that's really weird and strange, but it's true. And the Bible is full of a lot of things that we might not understand at first, but they're there for a reason. And one of the reasons they're there is to teach us that God's way is always best, and that God should always come first, no matter what the situation or what it is that God asks us to do. So Nehemiah's success in rebuilding Jerusalem's walls provides many leadership principles for today, but especially his constant focus on prayer. And if you forget anything else, please don't forget that he relied on God and relied on prayer for the leadership to get all these things done. So now we're going to listen to chapter 3 being read by one of our recordings here at our church. And after we listen to chapter 3, I may make a couple more comments, and then our Sunday school lesson will be finished for today.
Chapter 3. Then Eliashib the high priest rose up with his brethren the priests, and they builded the sheep gate. They sanctified it, and set up the doors of it. Even unto the tower of Meah they sanctified it, unto the tower of Hananiel. And next unto him builded the men of Jericho, and next to them builded Zachar the son of Imri. But the fish gate did the sons of Hasenaah build, who also laid the beams thereof, and set up the doors thereof, the locks thereof, and the bars thereof. And next unto them repaired Meremoth the son of Urijah the son of Koz. And next unto them repaired Meshullam the son of Berechiah the son of Meshezabeel. And next unto them repaired Zadok the son of Baana. And next unto them the Tekoites repaired. But their nobles put not their necks to the work of their Lord. Moreover, the old gate repaired Jehoiada the son of Paseah, and Meshullam the son of Besodiah. They laid the beams thereof, and set up the doors thereof, and the locks thereof, and the bars thereof. And next unto them repaired Melatiah the Gibeonite, and Jadon the Meronothite, the men of Gibeon and of Mizpah, unto the throne of the governor on this side the river. Next unto him repaired Uzziel the son of Harhiah of the goldsmiths. Next unto him also repaired Hananiah the son of one of the apothecaries, and they fortified Jerusalem unto the broad wall. And next unto them repaired Rephaiah the son of Hur, the ruler of the half part of Jerusalem. And next unto them repaired Jediah the son of Harumaph, even over against his house. And next unto him repaired Hattush the son of Hashabniah. Malchijah the son of Harim, and Hashab the son of Pahath-Moab repaired the other piece, and the tower of the furnaces. And next unto him repaired Shallum the son of Halohesh, the ruler of the half part of Jerusalem, he and his daughters. The valley gate repaired Hanan and the inhabitants of Zanoah. They built it, and set up the doors thereof, the locks thereof, and the bars thereof, and 1,000 cubits on the wall unto the dung gate. But the dung gate repaired Malchiah the son of Rechab, the ruler of part of Beth-Haccherem. He built it, and set up the doors thereof, the locks thereof, and the bars thereof. But the gate of the fountain repaired Shallum the son of Colhozi, the ruler of part of Mizpah. He built it, and covered it, and set up the doors thereof, the locks thereof, and the bars thereof, and the wall of the pool of Siloah by the king's garden, and unto the stairs that go down from the city of David. After him repaired Nehemiah the son of Asbach, the ruler of the half part of Beth-zur, unto the place over against the sepulchres of David, and to the pool that was made, and unto the house of the mighty. After him repaired the Levites, Rehum the son of Bani. Next unto him repaired Hashabiah the ruler of the half part of Keilah in his part. After him repaired their brethren, Bavai the son of Henadad, the ruler of the half part of Keilah. And next to him repaired Ezer the son of Jeshua, the ruler of Mizpah, another piece over against the going up to the armory at the turning of the wall. After him Barak the son of Zabbai earnestly repaired the other piece from the turning of the wall unto the door of the house of Eliashib the high priest. After him repaired Meremoth the son of Urijah the son of Koz another piece, from the door of the house of Eliashib even to the end of the house of Eliashib. And after him repaired the priests, the men of the plain. After him repaired Benjamin and Hashab over against their house. After him repaired Azariah the son of Maaseiah the son of Ananiah by his house. After him repaired Binnui the son of Henadad another piece, from the house of Azariah unto the turning of the wall, even unto the corner. Palal the son of Uzai over against the turning of the wall, and the tower which lieth out from the king's high house, that was by the court of the prison. After him Pedaiah the son of Parosh. Moreover the Nethinims dwelt in Ophel unto the place over against the water gate toward the east, and the tower that lieth out. After them the Tekoites repaired another piece over against the great tower that lieth out, even unto the wall of Ophel. From above the horse gate repaired the priests, every one over against his house. After them repaired Zadok the son of Immer over against his house. After him repaired also Shemaiah the son of Shechaniah, the keeper of the east gate. After him repaired Hananiah the son of Shelemiah, and Hanan the sixth son of Zalath, another piece. After him repaired Meshullam the son of Berechiah over against his chamber. After him repaired Malchiah the goldsmith's son unto the place of the Nethinims and of the merchants, over against the gate Mifkad, and to the going up of the corner. And between the going up of the corner unto the sheep gate repaired the goldsmiths and the merchants.
So we have listened to the reading of chapter 3, and we see the different builders of the wall. And what we see here is that each piece of the wall was separated. And the people who lived close to that piece of the wall, those people would build and work on that piece of the wall. And they worked together in family groups. Sometimes they worked together in townships or town groups, a community group. And by working together and everybody doing a small part of the wall, we see that the entire thing is going to get rebuilt in 52 days. Even with the constant opposition from Sanballat and Tobiah that we saw in the last chapter, we're going to see them again in the next chapter. And we're going to see that they're constantly trying to stop the process, but God is greater than anyone in the world. And when we put our trust and our faith in God, God will always come through for us. I wanted to just mention a couple of things that the study Bible pointed out. I also just real quick read to you the short summary. It's just a paragraph long in Haley's Bible Handbook. It says, archaeological note, Nehemiah's Jerusalem. It says, remains of the broad wall, which was mentioned in verse 8, and the valley gate mentioned in verse 13, and the pool of Siloam mentioned in verse 15, and the fountain gate, which was mentioned back in the last chapter in verse 14, have been found in course of archaeological excavations in Jerusalem. The city that Nehemiah fortified was actually slightly smaller than the one the Babylonians had destroyed. In fact, it was smaller than Solomon's Jerusalem, perhaps 35 acres in size. Nehemiah's Jerusalem was completely limited to portions of the eastern hill where the original city of David had stood. And so we see that this particular wall that was built was not nearly as magnificent as the wall before, which it kind of reminds us of the fact that the temple that was being rebuilt, and we had talked about in the book of Ezra, was not nearly as glorious as the temple that had been there before. But still, it was a place for them. It was very important for them to have a place at Jerusalem, a place where they could come, the holy city, Jerusalem. So I wanted to mention that to you, and then I want to make just a couple more comments, and then we'll be done with the Sunday school lesson, because once again, I'm trying my best to keep my Sunday school lesson, my training lesson, and my sermon 20 minutes or less so that you can plan for it. Also, we might be able to put this on CDs. We're going to try. For those who do not have the internet and cannot watch it, it is posted on Facebook now. It's also posted on YouTube. But we're going to try to get CDs as well for those who do not have the internet. So in chapter 3, the first thing I wanted to comment on was in verse 1, Eliashib was the high priest, and in later years caused much trouble for Nehemiah by allowing alliances with the Samaritans. And we'll see that in chapter 13. The sheep gate was in the northeast corner, close by the pool of Bethsaida, and we read about the pool of Bethsaida in John chapter 5 in the New Testament. Nehemiah lists in this chapter 8 different gates and their attached sections of wall, together with the men who repaired them, beginning at the northeast corner of the city and moving in a counterclockwise direction. The Tower of Mia was the Tower of the 100 right next to the sheep gate. The Tower of Hananiel was a little further to the west. After these buildings were finished, they were sanctified or consecrated to the Lord. Many different groups were involved in the work. Some labored as family units, as I mentioned a while ago. Others labored by towns. Crafts, for example, goldsmiths and the apothecary worked together. Trades, the merchants, and callings, the priests and Levites and temple servants, and district officers. One man even mobilized his daughters in verse 12. And I wanted to mention that because it's not very often in the Bible that daughters are ever mentioned as helping out in the work, because once again this culture was mainly about the men. Even though the women were very important and always in the background supporting, it's not very often that the Bible mentions the daughters or the wives, but here it makes sure to mention that the daughters helped. In verse 12, it says, "And next unto him repaired Shallum, the son of Halihash, the ruler of the half part of Jerusalem, he and his daughters." So once again it shows that even though they're not mentioned very often, women were very important in God's plan. And here the daughters helped rebuild that part of the wall that was closest to their home. In verse 4, we see Meremoth mentioned again, and it is important since he and Malchijah provided links between the missions of Ezra and Nehemiah. In Ezra chapter 8, Meremoth had checked in the treasury brought by Ezra from Babylon. And in Ezra chapter 10, Malchijah was one of those who submitted to Ezra's purge of mixed marriages. In verse 5, we have the mention of Tekoa, and the Tekoites. And remember, this is the hometown of the prophet Amos, which was located about 10 miles south of Jerusalem. Their territory was on the fringes of civilization, adjacent to the area controlled by Geshem. It is encouraging to note that the Tekoites built an extra portion. The phrase, "put not their necks to the work," indicates petty pride rather than half-heartedness. The unbending neck is a standard picture of this stubborn attitude. And so I'll give you some more background next week. The Nehemiah that is mentioned in verse 16, this Nehemiah is one of three people so named, including one of the first to return home with Zerubbabel nearly a century before. So this is a different Nehemiah than the one that wrote the book and the book's named for. Sepulchres of David is most likely in verse 16, plural to include those of his descendants. And 1 Kings chapter 2 teaches us that David was buried in the city that bore his name. This southern part of the eastern ridge of Jerusalem, his traditional tomb, however, is on the western ridge. So, as I said, next week I'll give you some more background and we'll be covering chapter 4. I hope you've enjoyed chapter 3. And I will be purposely repeating many things I've said. And the reason for that is because the things that I feel like the Lord has told me are the most important. I will go over those many times with you. Thank you for listening, and God bless you, and I'm praying for all of you. Bye-bye.